Alright, so now I'm going to be working on another video for my YouTube channel because, like I said, I'm trying to get some videos uploaded till I get my equipment set up. So right now I just have like my phone, so it's really primitive. But basically, I already did the Adam video because that was one I really wanted to do. So the other one that prompted me to be interested in true crime was the other one I'm looking into, which I want to do a whole video eventually with edits and images, but I just want to like bring it up to like start it off. So it's Dr. Jeffrey MacDonald, and Jeffrey MacDonald, the instant everybody talks about Chris Watts. So the instant I heard about Chris Watts, it instantly reminded me of Jeffrey MacDonald because, first of all, he was a total narcissist. He was having affairs on his wife. He was a military, basically like a military police guy, I guess, policeman at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. And his wife Colette was pregnant with their third child. So it was a lot, very similar to Chris Watts. I think he essentially, from what I've read, because I read pretty extensively about the case, he married Colette, which was his wife, because he, under pressure from the families, because back then, in the early, I think it was 70s, it was still kind of frowned upon to not be married and be pregnant. So essentially, they kind of pressured him and Colette to get married because, like, okay, you got her pregnant, so you should get married. So they got married. I think at that point, he really didn't want to be married, obviously. He was a young guy, a physician, studying to be a physician. And, I mean, he wanted to, have the lifestyle. He wanted to have the money that he was going to make from being a physician. And he wanted to have the lifestyle of being a young, good-looking military guy with unlimited, women to date or whatever. But instead, he was tied down with Colette and the kids. And it was, being that I was a former military wife and being tied down at a very young age with little kids, it does get very overwhelming. So I can see where, that can get a little bit tough. But, by no means does that mean that I understand why he killed his family. But anyway, so allegedly. So allegedly what happened was, okay, let me move my food because this is gross. I just got off work. Like, I have a stupid, regular, everyday job that I hate. Guys, I hate my job, okay? If I could just tell you how much I literally hate my job, okay? Shh, don't tell anyone. Please don't tell anyone. But I literally hate my job. So, the whole point of me doing these videos is to eventually, hopefully, get my own business or, do something that I want to do. Like, I want to write true crime books. My girl on Twitter that I talk to all the time, she likes reading too, but I like writing, and I would love to write about true crime. And there's actually a case I'm investigating right now that I want to write about. But I just have to get permission from the family and really start it off. But it's a case that is local to me here in Maryland, Baltimore area. In any case, though, I look out for that because eventually, hopefully I'll get the permission and rights to write that story. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and just do, a hobby with doing these videos. So bear with me because I'm not an organized person and I'm not going to sit here and have like a face full of makeup and be perfect on camera because I really don't. That's not me. I like to wear makeup sometimes, but I'm not going to sit here and do an extra, tutorial type face just to present a video. So you're just going to get me as I am. So I've been drinking wine tonight. And I just figured I would do a video while I'm drinking and just being myself. So if you like it, great. If you don't, there's like a million other YouTube people you can watch. So yeah, back to the MacDonald case. So he was born in Queens, New York, which I did not know until doing a little bit of investigating here. His grades were very good. He was on football team. He actually was raised on Long Island, and he was voted most popular and most likely to succeed. We see this time and time again with these type of people. I mean, they're always like so like undercover crazy, but like in the meantime, they seem like so awesome and cool. Like, oh yeah, I knew him. He was so awesome. He was so nice. You know, he was really fun and friendly, or whatever. We always see this. It's like undercover narcissist psychopaths. You know, underneath all of this, you know, popular whatever. So he won a scholarship to Princeton University, and while there, he had a romantic relationship with Colette Stevenson. And again, like I said, this was his high school sweetheart, and this resulted in a pregnancy. So at the time, I don't think either one of them were really thrilled about being, you know, tied down, family, married people at that age because they were just out of high school. But Jeff took it upon himself that when she was pregnant, that he was going to marry her. So Kimberly was born on April 18th of 1964. That was their first child. After attending Princeton for 3 years. So you can imagine, you know, got a young baby, he's a student, and he's also, you know, I mean, I'm sure it was times were tough. They were financially, you know, struggling, I'm sure, being a student and having a young baby, living in New York. I mean, New York back then was probably a little bit cheaper, but New York is New York. So his family moved to Chicago in 1964, where he was accepted at Northwestern University Medical School. The second child, Kristen, was born on May 8th, 1967. And the following year, upon his graduation from medical school, he completed an internship at Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center in New York. So he joined the U.S. Army on July 1st, 1969, and they moved to Fort Bragg. And he held the rank of captain. So he was assigned to the 6th Special Forces Group as a group sergeant in September of 1969. So, you know, he was moving up. He was, you know, had a pretty good life ahead of him with that, you know, start and being, you know, pretty, you know, a captain, pretty good, you know, because he had that prior university experience, and, you know, being that when you enter the military from college, you usually get promoted pretty quickly because they recognize your schooling as, you know, prestigious, and they move you up the ladder pretty quickly. So that was good. So he was on his way. So eventually, okay, so they're in Fort Bragg, and they're, you know, have their little family. Colette, I think she was in school, because I've read a couple of books about this particular incident, this murder. And I think Colette was in school. She was doing some kind of like, I want to say parenting classes or something. Maybe this will tell me a little bit, but I don't know. Anyway, she was in school. So she was trying to better herself too. She wasn't just, you know, a housewife, a military housewife. She was trying to, you know, better herself and learn some things. And she was also pregnant at the time, which again, it's eerily similar to the Chris Watts case because he was really on another path. Like mentally, he was wanting to be single. He had already cheated on her, which he admitted to after the murders. But, you know, I'm sorry, I was a military wife. Guys, girls, whoever's listening, men, women, military guys are known for cheating. I'm sorry, it's very difficult to keep a very monogamous relationship in the military because not only do they move you all over God knows where, the universe, they separate families for 6 months to years at times, and it's really hard to maintain a monogamous relationship. Not to say that it doesn't happen, because I'm sure it does, but it's very difficult. Let's put it that way. I encountered this myself, being a Marine wife, and my ex-husband was Marine, and he was also in the Army, so I know that this is very challenging. For myself, it was not, because I'm a woman. Not to say that, you know, women don't cheat too, because they do. But for me, it wasn't an issue for me to be monogamous. I was monogamous. I was raising babies. You know, the last thing I wanted was to meet some guy and be off, you know, gallivanting with some relationship on the side. So whatever, you know, I was faithful, but my ex was definitely not, and this is something that we definitely dealt with. So in any case, I'm just bringing it up because it's part of this case, and you may have encountered this own situation on your own if you've ever been in the military, or if you know anyone who's been in the military, or if you yourself have been a spouse of a military person. Anyway, okay, so trying to get this angle. Like I said, I don't wear makeup unless I'm really like going out or whatever. But anyway, so okay, so at 3:42. So we're gonna get right to the murders because I just gave you the backstory. So basically he married Colette because she got pregnant. They were military. I mean, they were high school sweethearts. He joined the military. He was in college. She was doing her own thing as well, raising kids and also going to school. So they were like on their little way as a family. But in the end, he was cheating and he's being a scoundrel, and that's always not going to be good. So at 3:42 on February 17th of 1970, dispatchers at Fort Bragg received an emergency call from McDonald, who reported a stabbing. So he was like, yeah, it's a stabbing going on. The military police officers arrived at the house at 544 Castle Drive. Crazy backstory, guys, okay? This is the reason why this is always fascinating to me. My best friend growing up, she had a sister. I think her sister was in the military, and she was stationed at Fort Bragg at the time, and she actually lived near Castle Drive. So when we were kids, she told me about this case. I mean, she told me, like, in passing, like, oh yeah, this happened, da 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 da. And I kind of like blew it off. And then she told me, like, over the summer, this one year, she's like, I went to Jeffrey McDonald's house. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, I saw the 504 Castle Drive. We rode by and I actually saw the house where everything happened. And she actually took pictures of it and everything. She was fascinated with this, okay? Her name was Michelle. She was my best friend growing up, and she's the one who started my fascination. My previous video was Adam Walsh, and that one was prior to me meeting Michelle, but after I met Michelle, she was so into this Jeffrey McDonald story, and she actually gave me my very first true crime book, which was, oh my God, Fatal Vision, sorry, by Joe McGinnis. Okay, so that's the name of the book. Okay, so if you want to read it, it's like, a very good read. For a true crime book, it's awesome. It is very biased because at the time, actually, Joe McGinnis was hired by Jeffrey McDonald, I believe himself or his defense, to present a version of the story that basically exonerated Jeffrey, or cleared him. But while Joe McGinnis was writing this book, he became suspicious of Jeffrey and then ended up switching sides. And by the end of the book, he was convinced that Jeffrey McDonald actually did this killing. So it's crazy. So it's a really good read because you can see the whole like wheels turning. I mean, it's not very long before he actually thinks that Jeffrey's done it, but it's pretty good to read because it's like initially he's like, oh yeah, this, it could be anyone, it could be this, that. By the end of the story, by the end of the book, you get like the whole feel that, okay, this dude totally changed his mind. Like he really thinks that Jeffrey is guilty. So anyway, it's a good thing to read, and it's a good book to read, and I would suggest it. Anyway, my best friend did